You know what I'm saying? Where we have a great conversation for you guys. Today we will be talking about 5 reasons to never be a stepdad. Now this specifically touches home for me because I am a stepdad. So I do want to preface this by saying what is said in this pod is not to directly um, offend stepdads out there or families that have stepdads. We are just going to speak on our opinions about stepdads, either in our past or in our current life, and just talk about, how we feel about it on this topic. So I first want to start off with, we got 5 reasons. We're going to start with reason number 5, and that will be, as a stepdad, you have the responsibility as a father, but no authority. Now that is definitely something that sounds somewhat right, you know what I mean? But in a lot of different situations, it could be different. Does anybody else have anything to weigh in on number 5?
Yeah, so that is true. It's a case by case though, and that really depends on the mom as far as authority, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. So, and I feel like we're gonna be giving a lot of our personal opinions because our stepdads. I've had a stepdad before, so
Yeah.
my personal opinion, like from my experience, my stepdad didn't whoop me, so he didn't have that authority.
Okay.
Neither did my stepmom, but that's stepmom.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other ways to discipline as far as like, hey, no TV. Hey, go out there and do these chores. Hey, you're not going here. But my mom did the whooping, so that's where his authority stopped. But he didn't have a problem with that, and it depends on the kid. So I didn't need a lot of whoopings, and I wasn't like unruly or like, what I'm saying, like you ain't my daddy type shit. Like I wasn't doing that. But if it's a kid that needs that though, it's funny. I say that to say this because I was watching something on TV and it was an old school movie, and the dude was roughing up the kid because the kid came in at the late hours of the night. And he was roughing up the kid, saying you disrespecting the house. The mom came in. Matter of fact, it was Cicely Tyson in her younger days.
Yeah.
She came in and was like, "Don't touch my son. Don't put your hands on him. I do that." And then he was like, "Yo, you brought me in here to get some authority. Now when I'm giving an authority, you saying I can't do this and can't do that. But then if he gets on the street, someone else is going to do it." But she still was like, "No one touches my son." And then she went into the back room and that was the end of the clip. And I'm like, yeah, if you bring him in here to set that guideline and that authority and that role, well, how far can he take it? Because the boy did disrespect the household. It might have warranted him getting roughed up or knowing that this is not going to be tolerated from a male presence. Because obviously he didn't respect his mom, right?
Right.
So instead of inconvenience or coming in between him correcting, step back and let him do it. But see, they have that maternal nurturing, don't mess with my baby, and that causes confusion. And it feels like you don't have any power in your own house where you paying bills at. It's like, yo, I can't keep the kids in order, because we're good at setting boundaries, logic, responsibilities. Right. Like that's our role. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to set the tone of the house. What's allowed, what's not allowed, and all that. So it really depends on the mother, what she lets him do and how much control and, how he can really set the tone of the house.
Okay. Now, with that being said, I do want to also clarify, are you a stepdad currently?
I'm not a stepdad.
Not a stepdad. But do you feel like maybe one day you could possibly be?
To be realistic, I probably will be. And that's when you just run the numbers. I have 3 kids.
Right.
It's unrealistic for me to want to get a girl with no kids. Number one, I don't want to have any more. So it's not fair because she might want to have some. Okay. And 2, sometimes it's better to be with a parent because she knows what parenting is about. And you want a motherly figure to my kids. So why would I not get someone who, is already a mom?
Who's already in that field.
But I mean, it comes with everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
And you can speak on that.
It's a lot.
I've never been on a path, but I know you can speak on that.
Well, we're going to see what Will wants to go first now.
I mean, he said a mouthful. I don't know what's left. I mean, on that one, I don't know what's left. But
yeah.
But I can flip it though. I could say what the original question was.
Yeah.
Authority, right?
Mm-hmm. You could be a father, but you can't have the authority.
Because I know you said, you spoke with the mother and those things, but what about the father that's still there?
Yeah.
Right. You're a stepdad to a kid that does have a father. So what about his authority in your household?
Yeah, but heads.
So you know what I mean? He's laying down ground rules on what you can and can't do with my kids in your house that you pay bills.
I've done that. I've done that before. I was that guy. I laid down rules.
So how do you feel about that man's authority over you?
Speak on it, man.
In your household.
Whoa.
Now I'm not a stepdad. So
I'm just saying.
Throw it, like Steve said a lot on here, so
yeah.
I had to throw a monkey wrench in this one and throw it right back to.
Well, I've been on
Drew.
that.
Drew's a stepdad, and you guys. So
that
how do
wrench.
you feel about that?
That's a hell of a wrench, my guy. That's I mean, I went through that exact situation.
Speak on it,
like
man.
How you said you were on the other side.
I was
on the other side.
I'm speak on it.
So I had the dad. We he pulled up. We had a little conversation, man to man, and he gave me about maybe 3 rules. Generalized rules. It wasn't nothing too specific. Basically, if you have to discipline them, don't go crazy. He didn't say don't touch them, which I respect that. I didn't touch him though, but he gave me the space. He didn't want me to impose religion on them. I forgot the other one, not that important, but that was a very, very tough situation for me because you start to look at yourself and say, I have my own rules and expectations in this house.
Right.
Now I have to kind of associate somebody else's rules as far as another man's rules that's not living in the house with my rules.
Okay.
Do they work? Do they not work? Am I with it? Am I not with it? That was the hard part to juggle. And that's where I wish I would have had something like an adult or somebody to talk to in that situation. Because when I was going through it, I was just thinking, I mean, I feel it. You know what I mean? I'm a dad too, like just like he was. I was a dad and my son was living with somebody else. So I'm thinking about it in that aspect. Like, I still want that man to be a respectable father to my son, just like I am a respectable father to these kids, which are his children, mine as well. But so it's an interesting situation there because it's just tough. I don't really have an answer for it, but I went through it and it sucks. So
that's a real toughy situation because I was on the other end. So my 2 older kids, like once another dude was around, 2 guys, one guy I already told him like what was up. And if anything happened left, what was gonna happen. But I was younger, you know what I mean? And then the other guy, we had a conversation and it was more adult, more responsible, respectable. I said the same thing. When it comes to discipline, don't whoop my son especially. Yeah. I'll do it. I didn't think about the religion thing, but that is like,
that's a good one.
Yeah, because they're your kids, so you don't want no one else imposing their religion. Like that's a big one. But from my understanding, though, when the mom has custody, that's up to her.
Most definitely is.
Yeah, because when I was growing up, like my dad didn't want me to be a Jehovah's Witness, but that was up to my mom. So he didn't have no say in that. So that's up to the mom. I think some of this stuff is up to the mom too. Like she can also have a conversation with the dad that, hey, I'm with him. This is his house. I understand where you coming from, but this is his house. So I'm not going to tell that man what he can or can't do as far as rules in his house because he's paying bills, right? You paying bills there. So it's like someone else can't really tell me what to do in my house to an extent. You know what I mean? I get it. It's your kids,
you know what I mean?
But you can't. I'm the king of my. I feel like you challenging me now as far a little bit though. Like,
no, for sure.
Hey,
you are. You are challenging me.
If I'm paying child support, I'm helping pay bills in that house.
Yeah, that too.
What if I said that back to you?
Well, the child support is supposed to be for the kids, right? Like,
but it goes towards bills. Man. It's supposed to, right? Resources.
So where do you draw the line? What's drawing the line though? For you, in your instance, Will, if you was to say something,
situation there wasn't no child support.
Yeah, if Dalen's mom was dating somebody,
right,
and you had to have a conversation, what's the most important? What would you say? Hey, don't do. If it was 3 things, what would you say?
Definitely the physical touch. Yeah, like don't beat. Let me do that. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's probably number 1. Outside of that, I mean,
You don't care about the religion?
If he's Muslim,
I would, yeah. If I knew
try to
his
change your
religion,
child to Muslim.
if he was Muslim and all that, I would agree with that. Don't impose something on him. Let him make his own decision, you know, and all that. But those will probably be the only ones. I don't
Can
have
you call him
anything.
dad?
Oh yeah, they're calling him. I didn't think about that, but yeah, don't call him.
Don't call him dad.
I don't call him stepdad. I don't
Well,
want none of that.
well,
His name is Mr. Whoever.
Well, let me ask you about that. And we're gonna hit this video right after this, but I got a question about that because I saw a video as well where a man was saying it's completely disrespectful for the stepkids to not call him dad. And me,
Hell,
I don't think it's disrespectful
nah.
because I'm a firm believer in if your dad is present and he's not doing anything directly that's like harming your life or anything like that, you call him father. Keep that up. Now, me, I would like that respect as well, but at the end of the day, it's not a, you know what I mean? It's not a who's here, who's there for me. You know what I mean? In your life, you've had your father the whole time. Just like my son he's in a whole other state, living with a whole other person. Mm-hmm. So when he refers to me as dad, father. I don't necessarily agree with him calling him father.
Right.
Because he's not.
He's not the father. That's my point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you can kind of pick and choose like who you want in your life and who comes and goes. Sometimes they choose who comes and goes out of your life. But fathers don't get to choose whether or not I'm your father or not.
Well, that's the reason why I say you shouldn't call a stepdad father or dad because they can come and go.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it's like they're really they can be very temporary. You know what I mean? Not everybody gets married and runs off in the sunset. You know, you date a guy or the mom dates a guy for a while and then he leaves and then he groomed my son into calling him dad. Like I think that's gonna mess his mental up. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think it's separated. This is my dad. This is Mr. Derek, Mr. D, whatever they want to call him.
Yeah.
So I think you just got to keep that separate. Because you want to teach, you don't want your sons to sit there calling everybody dad and in and out of the life. It gets confusing. So that's why I say just separate it. This is dad. This is Mr. Whoever.
So if you marry a woman and she has kids, do you prefer for them not to call you dad? Like if they called you dad,
if they have a father in their life,
married.
You would correct them though? If they have a father and you marry their mom now,
right?
So you are a stepdad because you married their mom. So that is your title.
Yeah.
But if they called you dad or stepdad, would you correct them?
I mean, I would leave that choice up to them. I'm just saying, as for the stepdad, I wouldn't like prefer it.
You don't prefer.
Yeah, and then me being on the other end, if I'm their dad over here, I wouldn't want them calling him, dad. Yeah. Anything with dad in it, it just seems
like you're stepping on his toes.
You just right, and it's funny. Stepdad, it's a play on words. Yeah, it sounds like you're stepping on toes, really.
I mean, but that is the definition of what the stepdad is. If you marry,
you're not, because just because I didn't marry my son's mom that doesn't mean my title should go to another man.
Right, I'm still father.
I'm still the dad. I'm still the father. I just get married because he married her. He has priority. Like no,
but he's expected to. You would be expected to treat her kids like your own and do everything a real dad is, but you don't get a title stepdad. But you are doing all the same responsibilities.
That's only out of respect for the dad that's actually involved. If he's there, present,
gotta be involved.
And if he's not involved, and he got nothing to talk about.
So if he's involved, it's still a problem.
Yeah, if he's involved, I'm gonna respect his title. I'm not gonna come in here because I actually have the upper hand because I live here with your kids. You don't. Right, because for whatever reason, you and her didn't work out. You're not there as much as I am. So I actually have the advantage to be impressionable on your kids. So I'm going to be respectful and let them know that I'm not trying to replace. That when you look at any movie, like you brought up movies and shows, when you look at these movies about stepmoms and stepdads, what's the first thing they say when they start talking to the kids? I'm not here to replace your mom. I'm not here to replace your dad. you know, me and your mom or me and your dad, we fell in love, we start a life together, and hopefully we can build some kind of relationship.
Yeah, sure.
They don't ever come in there saying, I hope one day you call me mom, one day you call me dad.
That's
they
right
make it very clear
that
that's your mom. That's your dad.
And from a step kid's perspective, because I had a stepmom and stepdad, even if the stepmom and stepdad are immaculate, doing everything they're supposed to, if your biological parents are in your life and they positive, bro, there's no replacement. Like, I can give you that title all you want, but you are not my mom. And no disrespect, I respect you, but dad is always going to be numero. I look like him. I'm from his loin. Like, I walk like him, I talk like him. Like, you can't compete. Like, with the Russell Wilson in the future, like, that ain't your son, man. But I respect though what he's doing. I get it. And perception is everything. So they can make it seem like, and he is a good dad, but hey, yo, Future is that boy's dad. Whether you like what Future does or not, you cannot replace him, man. It is what it is. So
now in this clip that we have here, this is something that's going to put a little bit of education behind what we're saying, a little bit of factual, some of this research on it. So let's just check this video and see how our opinions go from there. Thank you for hanging in with us. Here we go.
Kids into a step-parent family, they do not do as well. Step-parents are not as good parents as biological parents, and the data on that is clear. Now, obviously, there are exceptions, because there are terrible biological parents, and there are wonderful step-parents. But if you look in aggregate, it's not that easy to care for children. You need everything you can binding you to them. And if there's someone else's children, mostly they get in the way of the person that you love, right? Well, if let's say you have a child, I'll be right out. Let's say you have a child and I want to go out with you. Every second you spend with that child is the second you don't spend with me. And there's going to be a price for that. I'm not going to be happy about that. And if I have a child, you're going to feel exactly the same way. You might say, well, no, I love children. It's like, yeah, sure you do. I doubt it. You might love your child. And
hey, yo, personal experience, bro, he spit the facts. Everything he said, man. I couldn't really hear him. So I'm gonna dive in. He's saying that the last thing he said was, like, if you're the step parent, that child will get in the way of the person you love. So if you're dating a woman and that woman has a child, that child is always going to come before you. So you want to spend time with the woman, but if the child needs something or whatever, that child is always going to come first. So the child is getting in the way from you having fun with the woman or going places or doing all that. The child is like in the way. And I'm like, that is true. That's also true. What did he say in the beginning too? He said, he said that kids they do better with biological parents and step parents. And I think it's because your biological parents, for the most part, he's talking about the majority. There are instances where it does, but for the most part, biological parents love you unconditional. It's unconditional love. Yeah. I've seen that from my youngest, and it's a different thing, man. When it's their kid, it's more patience, it's more understanding, it's more unconditional love. Yeah. And that all makes for good parenting. So yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why they do better with their biological parents. With the understanding that the parents ain't crazy or nothing like that. But that's why they do better, because that unconditional love is big. Like, kids need to feel that.
Kids do need to feel that. And I also feel like it's that A1 day one feeling that we have as like adult males. Like, you know, we got that homie that we know, like, we've been rocking with this man since elementary. You know what I mean? So as far as the kids, now as far as the kids aspect, like they've seen this man and this woman as their parent their entire life. So now you come in and you're now trying to be something that is kind of taking their gaze away. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I naturally, whatever my mom and dad are trying to push me to get towards, I naturally am more open to that. rather than somebody where I don't know where you came from left field. I know you love my mom, or I know you love my whoever, but I don't know where you came from.
Yeah.
And I don't know your philosophies or anything like that. So maybe I'm just more prone to talk to these people.
Yeah. A little animosity, like you might reject the step parent because you feel like they getting pushed on you. It's like, man, our dad's still over here. Like, why you ain't with dad?
For sure.
I don't know this dude.
I don't know him like that.
Even he cool and everything, but he ain't dad. Like, it's not what they used to. I get it.
Yeah, so now to get back to our list, we're on number 4. We did number 5, which was number 5 was you have the responsibility as a father, but not the authority of a father. Number 4, we're going to talk about. I'm going to touch a little bit, but we'll stick to it. If the relationship fails, you've wasted your resources and time. Time is something that I cannot afford to waste. Resources can be replenished, but time, I can't afford to waste time. So that is a very sensitive number 4 right there. Does anybody have anything to weigh in on that?
Yeah, with that, man, it's true. Because if you're pouring into your kid, damn like an investment, like with mine's. I'm grooming them because it's better for me, for the family. Right. You know what I mean? When I get older, be successful, I ain't gotta go no notion.
Hand in hand.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I'm trying to teach them that, and it's gonna be a family thing. Yeah. So, but if it's a step kid and you pouring into them, because you're supposed to love them like your own, right? So you're supposed to do that. What you do for your kids, you're supposed to do for hers, right? So you're supposed to support their dreams and pour into them and whatever they need. But if it doesn't work out, everything your resources and all that, that's gone. And you don't really benefit from that. You just get to pat on the back, you did good. But is that enough? You might feel like, damn, well, all my resources and money, and I put them through school and college and all that. I bought him a car, and it didn't work out with me and his mom. And now I don't get nothing in return for that. Like, so yeah, I get that, man. And time too. Like, you feel like you wasted your time as if you could have spent that time doing something else or with someone else. But, you know, you can't foresee that. But yeah, I get that for sure. Yeah.
I would say I don't think if anybody that steps up in that stepdad role and provides for, you know, that woman's children or whatever, I could never say it's a waste of time, because the impact you had on that child, you know what I'm saying? That kid could be appreciative of what you did. Steve's very appreciative of what his stepdad did. That's true. Mm-hmm. Very appreciative. Leroy would never sit here and say, I wasted my time. Even if him and his mom didn't work out, he would never say what I did for Steve was a waste of my time. So I would say the impact that you had on the kids is more valuable. Yeah, you know, the mom didn't work out. They went their separate way, you went yours. You spent money, you spent time, we get it. But I guarantee you them kids won't forget it. You know, they're gonna be very appreciative of what you did.
So in a situation, let's say, if the parents split up, right? And you treated that kid like your own and everything, right? Invested into him just like you would do. But y'all had a nasty divorce. So when y'all split up, she told them kids, don't fuck with you. Like, don't talk to him. We're done. No more relationship. As far as what you poured into your kid, you still have a connection with your kid. So anything you invested in, you're still going to get back in return. Time, resources, all that. But with this step kid that you had, that now the relationship is done, how does that come back to you? Besides you feeling good about yourself and your conscience, like I did a good job, but the resources you poured into him, she just told that kid, don't mess with you. You're done. They moved on. He got a new step parent. You don't get any benefit from it. That's it. You just got to chuck it up and just be like, well, you know, I did a good job, and that's it.
Yeah, but that happens to biological fathers every day. I mean, that happens all the time. What do you think child support is? What do you think divorce court and all this stuff is, and why they're so nasty? Is because you got both sides telling the kids not to do this, not to do that. So, I mean, I understand it, but I feel like it's the same.
But like, you got rights, though.
Yeah.
As a dad, you have rights.
Yeah.
To your kid. You ain't got no rights to your step kid. After it's done, your rights are done. You're done.
Yeah, but your rights are very limited as a.
You got to fight for them.
Yeah, you got them. But as a stepdad, but you making that choice, and that's the risk you're taking.
It's true.
You know what I mean? To raise them, so you can't sit here and have a pity party when it doesn't work out. You went into it knowing that these are not my kids. So you knowingly made that choice. You can't sit around and whine and complain when she makes the decision to leave you and go about her business. That's kind of what this podcast today and the topic is all about. The risks of being a stepdad. And that's one of them.
Right. And it's not so much like some people do have pity parties. And we know personally. But it's like it is a choice, and you have to understand if it goes south, then you do lose that kind of investment. That's all I'm saying. Like you don't get, you know what I mean? You might not get a return on that. You might lose all that. You might not have a continued relationship with that child. And you have to be okay with that.
You got to be all right with it. That's the risk.
Right now, before we get too far on, I want to make sure we get everybody's opinion on this. Coach D.
Coach D.
What you got for us?
Come on, Coach.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I used to be like so pro, oh man, being a stand-up dude and filling in, for where the biological father might be lacking at. But going through it personally, I realized that most men, we don't have any control or say in that situation. So I really understand where y'all coming from with y'all viewpoints that I've heard so far. Because it's you can't never get your time back. The thing is, at any moment, that kid's father could just decide, hey, I'm on now. You invest the time and that kid goes pro or makes it big in their respective workspace. And now it's kind of like, oh, well, hey, I'm going to go over here now and do X, Y, Z. But it's like, damn, I was the one taking you to, a summer camp for engineering. I was the one there cheering you on, and you do it with a pure heart, but it is a slap in the face, and we are human. So at the end of the day, I just am like, I don't, that stepdad stuff, I literally just was having a conversation on the way here. I'm cool. I don't want to raise nobody else's kids. I just don't, because I have values that I want to instill. And if the mother's not on board with those values, then it's pretty much the hell. Yeah. I'm not taking a seat to nobody's kid, back seat to nobody's kid. I'm not. Especially I'm the one footing the bill. I'm just not doing it. So it's a no for me.
That goes back to that video.
Yeah. Hell would be a
he said that stepchild is kind of in the way.
Yeah. Stepchild is number one. It's mom.
It's her part.
It's her
number part. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Her part is mom. Mm-hmm. The love for this child.
Yep.
You.
Then you.
Wrong order for me.
I like that. Then that brings us to number. We got phone? Oh yeah. Let's see if we have some opinions.
Should be.
Hey, how we doing today?
Going on.
I'm good.
Hey, thanks for calling in. Our topic today is 5 reasons to never be a stepdad. We're currently talking about number 4, which is if the relationship fails, you've wasted your resources and time. You don't necessarily have to talk about number 4, but I feel like you have something to weigh in on the topic in general. But yeah, feel free. Hey, how we doing today? Going on.
I'm good.
Hey, thanks for calling in. Our topic today is 5 reasons to never be a stepdad. We're currently talking about number 4.
You on delay you?
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I just wanted to chime in. I do agree with you about the whole not wanting to be a stepdad. Just from experience, like me having a son and having a man in his life and calling him stepdad. Like, in the end, if it doesn't work out, to me, it is a waste of time for that child and that man, because like I have a child with that new man, but it's like it was a waste of time, because it's like now my son is kind of like, well, I've been calling him dad my whole life, but we're not together no more. And he's around for my younger child, but it is kind of like a waste on everybody's terms, I guess, in a sense. So I feel like in relationships, there shouldn't be a title of stepdad, or I can't explain it. There just needs to be like a level of respect for everybody, the biological parent, the boyfriend, the husband, the wife. I feel like the title of step parent is really a waste of time for everybody. If it doesn't work out for the kid, it just needs to more so be like a respect level.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're saying the entire step dad, mother, all of that is just it's holding up the relationship between adults and children.
To me, yeah, if you think about it in the long run, because a child could be wasting his time, or the stepdad could be wasting his time. So you know, like we're not together, so I'm not going to tell my son like don't call him dad because you've been calling him dad your whole life, but the
Mhm.
relationship is not the same. I don't rely on him the same, so it is like waste of time for everybody. But you have to move forward independently for yourself and can't look at it as like, oh, I have to be there for that child on the like on the man side, you know what I'm saying? Because you're not with that
Right.
person. So then,
Right.
but everybody's situation is different. Everybody's case is different. You know, you might want to be
Right.
there for that child. That mother may allow it depending on like if the biological parent was or wasn't around. But I do feel like the title, from what I went through, is definitely a waste of time. Just call them by their first name. There needs to be a level of respect of if you're in the same household, and you know what I mean? Like if y'all live in the same house with that child, or if the father is involved, the biological, there just needs to be a level of respect.
Okay. Now, since you've been through the situation, I have a quick question to ask you here. As far as when the situation was happening for you, when
Mm.
it came to authority and discipline, how did you feel about the man in your life being an authority figure over your son?
Verbally, yes. Physically, no, but my son was never like really like a bad kid where he needed to get his, you know, hands needed to be put on him. Verbally, yes, I would let him correct my son, like if he felt like my son was being disrespectful towards me, or hey, you do need to take this trash out. Your mother said take this trash out. He would, you know, let him know like you need to listen to your mother. So verbally, yes, I would, but on a physical level, no.
Okay, so if he's in agreement with you in that authority type situation, then it's more so okay. So like I'm saying, let me give you another example. So if you feel like maybe I don't know, maybe he should have been washing the dishes and he feels like your son should wash the dishes. And he
Mm,
says, I'm not washing nothing else because he ate.
yeah.
Would that cause any kind of a friction between you
Mm, I mean, I guess it could, depending on the circumstances, but yes and no. I guess it would just depend on how
guys?
frequent it was, or you know what I mean? It just depends on, like I said, it all boils down to like the respect level. You know what I mean? I can't really vouch for that. I didn't really have that situation.
So
So
it didn't
wait,
happen for you that way.
I have a question. I didn't catch your name. What was it again, young lady?
Ariel.
Okay.
Hi, Ariel. Sorry about
Nah,
that.
I'm messing with it because I know
Hey.
her. But no, so I have a question. So being a woman,
Hmm.
being a single mom, if and you will be in a serious relationship, if you're looking to get married, you are looking for a stepfather. That's what you're looking for. Someone who can be
Mm,
that towards your kids, because he would have to accept those kids as his own if y'all getting married. If y'all that serious and y'all living under one household, he has to accept those kids as his own, or it's not going to work. Like that has to be understood. So if
but that,
you're
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so if you're bringing him into that role, that means you value his opinion and you value him as a man, and you will want him to help teach your son to be a man. So if you're going to let him do that, you kind of got to relinquish control and let him do that and trust that he's going to want the best for your son, and not so much like he was talking about the dish thing or whatever. Like if he's trying to instill something in your son and you liked him enough to marry him and let him into your space and him be the leader or provider or whatever, then you gotta trust that man. If he's teaching your son something structure wise, you gotta trust the process, because you can't teach your man how to be a man, your son how to be a man. It has to be a man. And I'm not saying the dad is not doing it, but I'm saying if y'all married and y'all under the same household and he's treating your son as his son, then you gotta let him be in that leadership role and have that authority in the household. So he knows if he's not rocking, then that's what it is. But you can't like undermine him because of the maternal motherly instinct. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. So yes, true. You would have to let that man have some leadership, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're looking for a stepdad. Because once again, I don't like that title, and I feel like I've been through that. My son is 15, so I feel like if I'm going to be with this man and possibly marry this man, there needs to be a level of respect of everybody. Yeah, yeah, you can be there for my son and in his life, and yeah, I do want your leadership and a good role model for him, but that doesn't necessarily like mean stepdad, if that makes sense. And then for my youngest, my 6-year-old, her father is in her life. So I can't say I'm looking for a stepdad, because then it's still going to have to boil down to the level of respect, because he is a father that is involved. So even though I get with this other man, there's still going to have to be a respect level per the husband or the boyfriend and the biological father. So yeah, a man does need to lead and have some authority, and can speak what he thinks is best for you and your family, because he's a man. He's supposed to be leading that situation. But that doesn't mean there has to be that title of stepdad for me personally, if that makes sense.
So what's the title? Your kids don't have to call him stepdad, as long as it's respect that he's in that role. They don't have to say, hey, stepdad. They don't have to say that.
I don't even like the saying stepdad, because whoever stated it, it's like you're being stepped on. I don't like the phrase stepdad. Like, for example, my younger, if she chooses to be with somebody and says, oh, that's my stepdad, or she's little, it's a little bit different. Her father is probably not going to like that, but my son, no, he's 15. I'm not going to be like, you have to call him dad or you have to call him stepdad, because I've already been through that one time. I'm not going to do it again.
So I like what you said. You're not gonna make it be a thing, but my question for you is this: so, as far as the disciplinary piece, and correct me if I'm wrong. You said you're really not kind of for that
Physically.
The physical, the
You said verbal through.
Not physically, no.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask
Hell,
you
as a mother,
this.
mothers don't even want the biological father to yell at their own children.
So, what do I do if I'm that man in your life, and I see your 15-year-old raise a hand at you? Should I say, hey, don't do that? Or should the manly instinct in me, I put him down on his tail? All right, am I wrong? Am I wrong? I said, so if, I'm the man, I'm that guy in your life, and I see your 15-year-old, as they do around that age, start smelling themselves and, and get the popping off and, get up in your face and, the manly instinct in me, I snatch him up, put him on his back.
Right.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong for that? And I'm defending you in that situation?
I think it depends on the length of the relationship. If it was something new, like say maybe like 6 months or so to a year, no, that's totally inappropriate. But depending on the relationship, if it has been longer, it just depends on scenarios and situations. I feel like in something like that, no, a man wouldn't be wrong. But past the point of putting them to the wall and stuff, that would probably, there's levels to it. But no, I don't feel like that would be wrong for a man to have that type of authority over discipline under the circumstances of disrespect.
Okay, so let's say I'm footing the bill. I'm taking care of everyone in the household. Is it? And let's say we go out to eat. So if I know how you feel about that, am I wrong if I pay for me and your meal and don't pay for his?
Because based off of that situation.
No, not situation, just
in general, because it's like I don't have authority.
Yeah, if I don't got no say or no authority, little homie, get it how you live. I pay for your money, but then I'm looked at as petty though if I do that. So I kind of have some chains and restrictions.
That's why I said there's levels to it. That does sound petty. I will agree with you there. So for men, do men want that authority? Like for the women, that's like, oh, you can't discipline my son. Is that something men want? If they're taking care of bills and situations,
I'll swing it to Steve.
And I think I can answer for all of us. If you step into that role as a man, and you with a woman that has kids, and you have kids, and you are the head of your household, and you set certain rules for your sons, it makes us feel better if your sons have to accommodate the same rules.
I need that buy-in from them.
Yeah, I need that buy. So everybody now, it makes me feel like you really are my kid, even though I'm financially supporting you as my kid. Also, if I'm being able to discipline you and set rules and guidelines, and you backing me, now everybody actually feels like a unit because all the kids are under one guideline. It's not like my kids are under this guideline, but your kids, I can't do this to them, or they under this guideline. We need to be on the one rule, one house rule. So if my sons, if they do this happens, and I can correct them. If I have the authority to correct your sons too, now we're all one unit. But you create division if you saying, well, nah, if my son does this, well, this ain't gonna happen to him. Well, it happens to my sons. So I'm trying to get everybody on the same page. I'm supporting everybody like the same, but I can't discipline everybody like I'm the same.
And I want to also chime in with what Steve's saying, because it's spot on. If I'm the man of the house, I'm setting an example. I'm trying to get everybody on one accord, which is my job, to make sure that the house is controlled, is a controlled environment. There are stipulations, there are rules and regulations that we are going to adhere to in my household, because I am the head, not the tail. So I feel like as a mother, having that child, and I'm not the biological father, but don't expect me to be held to all of those other standards. But when it comes to yours, here comes the whole new set of standards being rolled out as things that I can and can't do. Don't yell at him. Don't say that. Well, if I just smack the shit out of my son for being disrespectful, and I'm hearing your son disrespect you, and you're not doing nothing, who's to say he won't disrespect me?
So that gives me a question for either Coach D or Steve. So you saying if the child does a certain thing, these happen to your kids, this is supposed to happen to theirs too. So do you want to be able to beat the other the child that's not yours?
Not beat, but
correct.
If I'm filling those shoes as the man, the disciplinary in the house,
right,
and my babies, hey, and I don't want to beat mine, but I might have to tag my boys.
Yeah,
I might have to tag. You might stop breathing for a second, but you'll be okay. Right. And you want that same love, because it can't be okay when I buy him J's. You want the same J's he wants, but I can't get at you like I get at him.
Right.
So I don't want to do it in a way that's aggressive. I don't want to use the word aggressive, but I don't want to do it in a way that it comes off as abusive or disrespectful toward him. But if you're gonna be a part of this team, this is how we getting down.
So you want to be allowed to discipline how you discipline, in essence.
Yes, but I want discipline to be a joint conversation, with me and her.
Well, see, now that brings me to the question that I'm sorry if I cut you off, but that brings me to the question. I'm sorry, is it Ariel?
Yes.
Ari, okay. That brings me to the question. When you got into this relationship where you had a stepdad or acting stepdad at that time, did or was there some type of conversation between you and him about values, rules, beliefs before he was brought into the situation to where he had to kind of make it up as he goes? Was there any type of conversation?
No, there was not. There was not.
The reason why I bring that up is I think that's the disconnect that stepfathers, fathers, mothers, stepmothers, I think that's where the disconnect might lie, because the conversation between two grown adults is very important and pertinent before they're introduced to the children. Because if I'm an authoritarian, if I'm military style and you don't know I'm military style, am I wrong for being me? So it might not work for you. My views might not go for you. So and I'm glad you answered that question truthfully. And I just want to kind of throw that out there for everybody who's listening. Like, maybe take that second and really talk to that person before, like, once you realize that person is that type of guy or that type of girl that's going to be some type of father or mother, stepfather or mother to your children. Y'all got to have that conversation and say, hey, I don't want you putting your hands on them. I don't care what it is. Don't do it. And that gives me the chance to say, that gives me the chance to say, well, this ain't for me.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because I'm a hands-on father.
That's it.
Now, if you don't want me to be hands-on, I need to know now, because this is me.
Yeah.
Now, if I have to change who I am to be somebody else for you, that's up to that man.
Yeah.
If that man can do it, that's on him. But, in general sense of things, you don't want to change a man like that. You know what I mean? And that's just, thank you for answering that truthfully, though.
I would say too, it's like, because the woman she gets to pick what kind of man she's dealing with. So I'll say this. Ariana, have you seen Miss Doubtfire?
Yes.
Okay, you seen Major Payne?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you were married to a guy who was more like Robin Williams and Miss Doubtfire, the more fun-loving dad, hey, close to his kids, want to have a good time. Okay, cool. That's what he was married to. But if you divorce that guy and you get with a guy who's more structural like Major Payne, then you know if he's going to be head of his household, then it's going to be a complete different dynamic than what your kids was used to. You are kind of picking that guy, and you know your household structure is going to be different, and they're going to have to adjust to that. So it's kind of in your responsibility too, who you pick, because you know it's going to change the dynamic of the household, right? So that's kind of what I'm saying too. So if you pick someone who's kind of similar to what they're used to, maybe it's easier.
And I think another thing that makes it easy when you're in those dynamics is as a child seeing mom buy into him.
Yeah.
Because if mom is having sidebars or, come on, baby, you ain't got to do that.
Right.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
What's your thoughts?
The service kind of went in. You said when a mother does what?
You talking me or Coach D? Which one of us?
Coach.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying, so if mom doesn't fully buy in to what the man in her life is valuing or trying to establish, and she's having those sidebar conversations like, nah, you ain't got to do that, then you know it pretty much kills everything. You know, so it's just no deal at that point.
Are you asking me, like, do I agree? Like, if there's no agreement? Yeah. I mean, if it's not going to work, then no, there's no reason to move forward. It's just not going to be beneficial for anybody.
Sure.
But to take it back, what you was saying, Coach, I think that is when you touch base on the topic of, well, if I'm disciplining my child, I want to discipline yours the same way. I think it's different if there's children from both sides. Then yes, I do agree that, well, if this is going to be a unit in the household, yes, if you do one to the other, you know what I mean? Like, it's different on that disciplinary level, not, oh, just beat your child or put your hands on your child, but you can't hit mine, but they both did the same thing together. No, I feel like if it is a household with multiple children, yes, they can be disciplined the same way. Like I said, the physical thing is still just probably hard for mothers to understand, for another man to put their hands on their child, just like it's hard for mothers for the biological father to put their hands on their child to an extent. Mothers are always going to have their kids back, whether if it's biological, step parent, boyfriend, or whatever. So, but I do agree with you on that. I do feel like if it is a household with multiple children from both sides, that it needs to be disciplined the same.
Do I need to be your husband to be granted that access, or am I granted that access as a long-term boyfriend?
And it also depends on the role of if that child does or doesn't have an absent father. If that child has like, for example, my youngest one, if I get into another relationship, she has a father that is in her life. He's not going for that to an extent. There still has to be respect level for each household. But if my daughter goes to her biological dad and says, oh, he put his hands on me, this most likely going to be a problem. Just like if your child came to you and said that their stepdad or mother's boyfriend put their child on him. So it still goes down to respect.
It would have to be some kind of happy medium, I feel like, because I understand, like, someone puts their hands on my kid, I'm going to be mad if I already set that boundary from the jump. But if I'm, okay, so if we're in the same household, my kid does something that warrants an ass whooping, cool. Your kid does something, maybe you can administer that. You still on my same page. I'm not whooping him. You whoop his ass. That way he still gets an ass whooping. I didn't give it, but you did. We still on the same accord. You still got my back.
Can we give him a ding for that, Paul? Hey, that's dope, man. I love that point.
And I do want to thank you for calling in. I don't want to keep hitting you with 100 questions, you know what I mean? But I do appreciate your viewpoint. And I do appreciate you being truthful and honest on that. Because we don't get that a lot these days. So we heard you, your value, and we do appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
Like and subscribe too.
Sure. So like, well, we're gonna move to number 2, which is the BD laughing at you. or the biological father laughing at the stepdad or whatever situation it may. I'm gonna put out a situation and I'm gonna see if you guys can kind of weigh in on it. Let's just say we have a stepdad who is doing everything that he knows he can do, but the kids and the biological father are still having a great relationship. So when they talk, when they have their conversation, it might be about the dislikes of the stepdad. Let's just say the stepdad is not making a lot of money. Okay. No, this is a real topic. So let's just say the stepdad is making less money than the biological father. If the children and the biological father are stating their discomfort with the stepdad
because of the finances.
How would you feel about that?
I mean, that is what it is. That's just how it is over there. I can't do nothing to control that. But if he handles responsibilities, if he's not making what I'm making, I mean, that's it what it is. Like, what can I do about that? Mm-hmm. But you still got to follow that man's rules. That's still his household at the end of the day. So you still have to respect. Would I laugh? I mean, it might be some shots here and there. Right. I'm only human, and I'm me at the end of the day. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you got to respect that, man. If my setup is a little bit better over here, then that is what it is. Neither you can stay over here, or if you're staying with your mom, then it is what it is over there. That's their setup. That's within their means. So you just gotta, rock with it over there. Yeah, you come over here, we can ball out, we do all that.
Yeah. If you had a stepdad situation where you're looking at him like, man, you ain't half of me, and your son comes to you and he feels the same way. You guys you're in cahoots now. I mean, it's your son,
right?
You know y'all's relationship. It is what it is on that,
right? He
goes back into that house. He barely wants to respect it. Barely wants to respect it.
And I think with that, gender play is important too. You know what I'm saying? If I have a daughter, if I have a son, so sons, they typically gonna look up to their dad. Okay. So if you in your son, like I'm in my son's life,
right?
So if a stepdad came into his situation, he's going to naturally compare stepdad to me. It's just
why not?
It's just a natural thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, my dad drive it.
Yeah.
Why you got this band? You know what I mean? Well, my dad wears. You know what I mean?
My dad work out.
My dad's drippy. My dad's in shape. Why you fat? You know what I mean? Like, so it's a natural.
That is natural.
It's just a natural.
It's true.
It's just a natural compare. And I'm talking as if I'm an 11-year-old.
But you're spot on, bro.
Yeah, I'm talking as a child who knows no better. And they're the most honest creatures on this earth.
They have no choice.
They have no choice. So I would say the whole laugh, the baby daddy laugh, and I would say, okay, it's a little, like Steve said, we human, but it's a little immature for us together, me and my son, talk about him. Okay. As a unit, we over here laughing at him. I was like, he drive? Hey, his van, what was his van making that noise again? Like, you know what I mean? Like, throwing them little, what J. Cole say? Throwing them little haymakers. Yeah, so, I mean, but I feel like that's just natural.
Yeah.
The baby daddy is going to laugh. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah, it's going to
I've laughed plenty of times.
Yeah.
I have laughed plenty of times. Yeah.
We're going to throw that at the coach.
If you got a good judge.
So if baby daddy or father is laughing at the stepdad, you're saying that they kind of have to, they got to figure it out. Let's assume that, women primarily get custody. About 90% of the time, women get the custody of the child. So if the child is sick, anything would happen, the mother has to call off. Now, when you marry this woman or get with this woman, you're assuming those responsibilities. So if she misses work, she ain't getting money. That affects your household. You may have to pick up some of those tasks, maybe going to get the child and do all that. All he has to do is abide by his visitation. So to me, I would be laughing like, oh, kid sick, that's on y'all. You stepdaddy to get it. I know it sounds messed up, but I ain't about to mess up my coin.
And to add that, you know what? I laughed personally in the last year In a personal instance, I remember with my youngest son, it was a guy his mom was dating, right? And for a short time, they were dating. And the response was this guy has done 20 times more than what you've done to a 2-year-old. Like, what does a 2-year-old need? But at the end of the day, I'm laughing because now dude ain't even in the picture no more. My son don't remember any of that stuff, bro.
won't.
So if it's toys he bought or whatever, he's not gonna remember nothing. But guess who's still over here chilling? Old dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like what I bring to the table when it's talking about value with my sons, like, man, it's not even a comparison with that guy. It was just said just to be said. But that's an instance where I just laugh, like, dude ain't even here no more. I'm chilling with my, like, all that. So it's like, yes, we do laugh, especially if I say some goofy stuff. We're laughing, bro. Don't be disrespectful because, yeah, jokes will get thrown. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, you will respect that person. But I mean, set a van?
Yeah.
Damn.
That's tough. How you feel, Coach? How you feel about that?
My son now, his pops is no longer with us, so rest in peace. But you know, I remember entering that situation. He's still a sucker.
Hey,
I'm gonna stand on that. Yeah, I'm gonna stand on that. So
do that. So.
Because it was crazy. Because I was rooting for him so hard that he didn't know. But my stepson, you know, he's named. They share the same first name, but his middle name is named after granddad. Dad got remarried and had babies, has a junior, and his feels about that. Couldn't figure out why. So me coming up in a situation where y'all know, hey, I always talk about my dad being a piece of shit, and you know how I feel about it. Still love him. Shut up, punk. Still love him. But at the end of the day, it's like he started to throw jabs and stuff. And to me, it was more funnier to me because he was a sucker, you know, and I'm just like, bro, like if you miss her that much, come take her back. Good luck, but come take her back, bro. All that sneak dissing and I mean, listen, man, he told me up one day, looked away and stuck his hand out. I slapped it, man. Fuck you think you?
Yeah, we ain't doing
man, listen, man. These guys, you know, God bless they sucker souls, man. Because, you know, I laugh because he was a sucker. You know, but even if his pockets wasn't right.
So was he just not showing up?
Yeah, but Buddy was showing up out of spite of me.
Oh, okay.
Buddy was showing up out of spite of me because he see his son attaching.
Motivated.
Yeah, exactly.
You motivated.
Nigga, thank me that your relationship is dope here. But for me, because I'm a product of it. So, you know, it was just always something to laugh at, you know, with me because your sucker scent is oozing out. You know, your cologne, your cologne, the musk of sucker. You know, man, and yeah, you can't help but laugh, man. I get it. You know, I want to laugh. You can't help but laugh.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that 100%. I feel that 100%. And so the thing that we really have to come to when it comes to being like a stepfather, since we're all fathers in here, but there's a couple stepfathers in here. And the thing we have to really come to is what I've noticed is it takes a whole team. So like if I'm fighting for myself as a stepfather, I'm married into it. I'm not like a boyfriend and a stepfather. I'm fighting for myself as a stepfather, and there's nobody else fighting with me. So what is the benefit of being a stepdad? Which is the last number on.
I would say, for me, I just want to take that word "step" out because if I'm a stand-up man, I'm going to do right by my situation, and if that young person is a part of my situation, I'm gonna be the best example I can be because that's what I'm doing for my flesh and blood, for mine. So I'm still going to embrace you because you're still a young person. You know, like what would I look like? Someone who works with young people every single day. I have more children in school than I do, you know, personal. But even, you know, now I got high schoolers that still call me dad because I was just a father figure.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sign up for that. So I feel like the benefit is just being a good ass dude, man. It's more of a self reward because you're still impacting, making an impact. It's called legacy. And when you know, get ready to take that long nap, you'll look up and have, you know, hundreds of adults that, you know, look at you and say, damn, he was all right with me. You know, so I think the whole dad thing, your dad is the person who's not here. Your father's the person that's not here. I'm just a figure that want to see you win. Whether you like it or not, I still want to see you win
here.
because I'm not going nowhere because that's who I am.
I'm here. Yeah.
So the whole step thing for me, man, listen, I want to see you win. There's some non-negotiables though. You won't ever disrespect your mother in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell a student that you won't disrespect her in front of me when I'm in a parent meeting because that's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, some guys embrace that word step. Me, I guess the politically correct term is stepdad. But me, I'm just being who I need to be.
Right.
To service my purpose.
Yeah.
But on the topic though, if we're talking about reasons not to be a stepdad.
Yeah.
Even though I had a stepdad, which is not for everybody, it just depends on the situation. So for me, since I have kids, it may be more beneficial because I have kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's up to me whether I want to do that or not. That's a personal choice. But if it was my son and he has no kids and he's 22, 23, bro, I am not about to say you to go be a stepdad, bro. I'm not advocating that. I'm not advocating for that.
Because you're about to go through a whole world of problems.
I'm not about, and I don't care what the media or TV or whatever. No, they be trying to give you their viewpoint of it and encourage you. Hey, be a stepdad. Step up to the plate. Listen, man, if you want to do that, that's on you. But what I'm going to tell you, if you got it going on, and the chick has a kid, you can go out here and get a chick with no kids now, before you go into one with kids.
I wanna ride your coattail on that, and I'm gonna ride with you on that point. But what if she just life happened, came from a great background, life happened, but she's balling, doing her thing. How would you feel in that particular scenario?
I can't tell him what to do, but it'll be better if he sees something, because first it's gonna start with her. You're not about to be a stepdad just to be community service to be a stepdad.
No,
you have to see something in her first. Okay. Then it's a total package. Mm-hmm. If you don't see nothing in her, it's her first, then the kid.
Yeah.
So you see something in her, whether she's appreciative, supportive, she's come from a good pedigree, like you said. Yeah. She don't disrespect you. She's very nurturing. All the qualities you look for, but maybe the situation is what it is. She's a single mom, something happened, whatever. I'm not telling. I mean, if you want to step in that role, that's your choice. But that's better than just going out here to be a stepdad just to be a stepdad.
That's not what we're fishing for.
No.
Look, I have another scenario that might help with formulating this topic. I was watching Instagram, right? And there was this man who had been with this woman for 10 years. They weren't married, but he's calling himself stepdad to the children. They've been solid for 10 years. And this man apparently was doing great financially. Okay. So when it came to financials, he was the guy.
Right.
10 years straight. Now, the daughter goes to get married. And what happens at the wedding that the stepdad was paying for, the wedding was at the stepdad's house.
Right.
He did everything. The stepdad did everything.
Yeah.
The daughter wanted the biological father, who did absolutely nothing, to give her away at the wedding. So this stepdad got into his feelings, and he's like, and I'm not saying he's wrong, I'm not saying he's right, but he got into his feelings, and he's like, I'm sorry, for the last 10 years, I'm dad. When you ask for anything, you ask me for it. right? So now when you go to give your life away to this new man because you're now getting married and you're now giving your, whatever it is that you're giving up or whatever, you're doing that. But you want your biological father, who hasn't been around at least for the last 10 years. I don't know their whole background, but I'm just saying he's been there for 10 years. So for at least last 10 years, he feels like he was dad. And they treated him like dad for 10 years. But when it came to being dad, they wanted dad, not stepdad. Is he wrong for feeling like that?
No, that actually, my little sister got married, and she has a stepdad, and he was in the picture for a long time, like 10 years. Mm-hmm. So my stepdad and my dad walked her down. They took turns. So her stepdad started it off, and then my dad came in because of what you said. You've been in the picture 10 years, and this role, father figure, providing and doing all that, he is gonna feel some type of way. Like, got to. It's only human.
Yeah. But see, but here's the thing though. Here's the other part to that. But when you're doing it with a pure heart. But you're also doing it because I want to see you smile on your special day. As a real one, you gotta know in the back of your mind.
I like that.
There's still that love for dad
all day.
I know for a fact my sister, my dad. Shout out to my dad, Life. I asked him to be my dad at 85. No, I'm lying. 87, and he ain't missed a beat. He ain't over 30 some odd years in my life. Ain't missed a beat. I know my sister for a fact. My father can't come. I'm a walk. Yeah, right. She will let me and my dad walk her down. Period. But I just feel like some young ladies and/or males, they still have that yearning for that paternal parent.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And special days like that, and girls are normally daddy's girls.
That day.
And that big day.
All days.
It's like, wow.
I need it.
You're here. I'm going to set my differences aside with you. This is my day.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be here because if it wasn't for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Or then there's that flip side of the coin of okay, you got a seat over there. Larry's walking me down. Because while you've been out honeymooning and doing you,
right?
Larry's been here putting the legwork in, and that's who I feel connected to more. So therefore, that's who I feel more. That's what I would rather him walk me down, because that's who I feel connected to in the realm of a father figure.
Yeah.
So both parties, both men, got to be real ones and look in the mirror. And dad, or biological paternal dad, if you ain't been there, go sit your ass down and enjoy your daughter being happy.
Right, from the chair.
Period. From right here, from the crowd.
From the crowd.
You can high five her.
It's under control. Yeah.
But sit your ass down because Larry was a real one.
Yeah.
And did what you should have been doing. So both parties, however it goes, have to be a real one.
Mm-hmm. So what I've realized through talking to you two, there's a whole nother aspect that we might not have been touching on. And I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions that will dive into that. The aspect of the children having to either accept the stepdad or deal with the fact that their parents are no longer together. You two have been in the situation where your parents did not work out, unfortunately, and there were other people that stepped into your lives to be facilitators for that space. Right? Whether you liked them, whether you didn't, that's going to be part of the question. But when it comes to children, because I'm a stepfather and I have 3 stepchildren. So when they look at me a certain way, and I can see it. Feel it. It's not the same as they would look at me as like their dad.
Right. Yeah.
So what I want to know from you guys, what is it that maybe a stepdad needs to do, or what is it that needs to happen to make it more conducive for a man to come in and step into that role?
That starts with the mother. It starts with the mother. Because kids play off mom's emotion. I can remember times bickering in the house, and days he and I would not talk because he feels a way that I spoke to his mother a certain type of way. So we already got one parent missing, so I'm clinging more to this one. So I'm extra sensitive about this one.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts with the mother. If mom is all in and pro, stepdad, and hey, hold on now, Larry got a point. Come on over here, sit down, Larry, you handle that. And when mom start doing that, then that kid is like, oh, shoot, hold on. My biggest advocate is not in my corner anymore.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Respect.
So now you try and take advantage of that absent parent that's not there, and you all begin to develop a relationship. Well, Dad, she be always no. She doing what a real one is supposed to do. She recognizes that Larry is the one that needs to get this point through to you. I'm gonna get out the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it starts with mom, man. Everything starts with mom. I didn't like my stepdad when I first met him. I did not like him.
Talk about that, yeah.
Because it was like, hold on. You taking somebody away from me. And you didn't even ask me if you could be my dad.
Facts.
But I was younger and I asked him to be my dad. But when it came to marriage, I was a little older. So I had somewhat of a better understanding. But it was still that selfishness in me because that's my mama. And as a mama's boy, that's my mama. Brother, you ain't, no. But in hindsight, best thing that ever happened to me. Best thing that ever happened to me. And even now, can't get my father to tell me he's proud of me after all I've accomplished on my wedding day. My wedding day, my dad, my father, and my uncle. That's I called him on the show when we were talking about being deadbeat dad.
Oh yeah.
I called him. Yeah. He was the one that like he was the hammer. He was the rock. My father, my dad, he was in the church, minister, but uncle was the rock. So my father came and just couldn't forgive my dad because they sold dope, and I had everything I thought I wanted. But as y'all spoke on money and laughing at the guy with no money, my dad to this day would slap my face if I disrespect my father. To this day. And my mom, even now at 40, she backs out and be like, nah, go talk to your dad. Nah, what your dad say? So long story to a point.
Yeah.
It starts with the mother.
The mother. Okay.
Period.
Got you. I like that point of view.
I would agree, yeah. I think too, what one could do, the man can do, is develop a personal relationship with the child. And girl and boy, but I'm gonna speak because I'm a guy and I had a stepdad. So and not changing his personality, who he is, he still stand on business. Respect is still respect, and you're gonna respect the rules. But you just can't always be the authoritative figure. You have to have a personal relationship. So with my stepdad, when he first came into the picture, because my parents was doing it for a long time. So when he came into the picture, it was kind of cool. I never not liked him, but what made me like him more is him taking a personal interest on what I like. And he was a guy's guy, and I'm a guy's guy. So football, me doing flips, animals, all that, man, he was with it because he could relate. So I think he had my back in a lot of ways my mom might have not, and he encouraged me. So he was very big into sports. So it was encouraging me to go out for the football team or this or that. Like, yo, it made me feel confident, and I wasn't really getting that from my mom, but from him, that's helping cultivate that personal relationship. Hey, what you like to do? I don't care if I met him, I like Pokemon. I remember I like Pokemon, and he bought me some cards. That's involving himself on what I like. Hey, I like rats. I like animals. I like lizards. He took me to the pet store. Hey, I like football. Hey, buy me a football. Like, you are indulging in my interests, and you're help building my confidence. Hey, he gave me weight bars. He told me about lifting weights. Like, we're developing a relationship because, for one, we're relatable. We talking about man stuff. Man, he used to watch Dragon Ball Z with me, LeBron James, high school games. Like, so we had a lot of the common interests because we guys at the end of the day. And it was easy to cultivate a relationship. But You just have to figure out what your step kid or what that kid likes and go into his world.
So what I hear you saying is, if, because we have men out here and we have women out here that are going into step motherhood and stepfatherhood. So what I'm hearing from you is, I'm hearing from both of you guys is, you have to take that time. The mother of the situation and the father or the stepfather of the situation, they all have to come together and be on the same page when it comes to raising these children.
Mhm.
Is that
That's
what I'm
first
gathering
and
so far?
foremost, yeah.
That's the
Hell
foundation. Yes.
And then the second step would to be for the stepfather to make sure and do everything that he can do to create
A
and
safe
formulate
A
a safe
personal relationship.
Yes.
personal relationship
Yes.
with the children of the house.
Yep.
And that should help with the life of the stepfather.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it
that what I'm
solidify
gathering?
his position because he could be able to relate to the son more ways than his mom can. We talk about girls
Yes.
or something like that. Hey, I remember one time I was teaching, I ain't gonna say that, a girl at Northmont how to backflip because I used to know she was a cheerleader. And my stepdad seen it when he was driving past or hanging out with her, and he was like, I seen what that little girl teaching her how to backflip. And then like we connected because it was like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? I don't know
Yeah.
what my mom would have said, but he was like, just to let you know I seen you. And
For sure.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And we related on
Yeah.
it. You know what I
And
mean?
it's the ego, so it's a boost.
Yeah.
Confidence
Yeah,
boost,
Let me,
too.
let me let me give y'all a little personal. I don't want to go too deep on my personal with this because I have 3 stepchildren, and I would, with everything in my soul, I would not want to hurt them with the words that I say. But what I will say, I'm halfway lost what I was about to say. But so like as a stepdad, when you say you were into Dragon Ball Z and you were into these things, I have a 15-year-old stepson. I just call him son, but I have a 15-year-old, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's been turbulent, man, the whole time. You know, I've been around him since he was 9. So it's been somewhat turbulent because not only is his dad involved, his dad is like, I mean, right there. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Respectfully,
Access.
and I love it, but his dad is like right there at all times. You know what I mean? So like our relationship has been turbulent. It's getting so much better now though. Like we turned the corner as far as me and him, my son and I, because he's in a space to where he's trying to figure out who he is now because he's 15. So he's getting driving. He's now having relations with girls. So the conversations that me and him and I have now, are way different from before. Before it was clean up, get your room clean, blase blase. There's no girl in this world that would like a sloppy nigga. That was our conversations before.
Right.
Now it's more so like, how you treating these girls? How many girls have you went all the way with? You know what I'm saying? So these conversations I've noticed between him and I are way better now. And this is something that I was talking to his mother about. I might not be the perfect guy at 9, but when they turn 15, 16, 18, 20, 21,
Figuring
30,
out life.
40,
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like
Yep.
I
like
know I'm there.
Yes.
Because my dad, I love him to death, but once I became a real man, having my own and taking care of A, B, and C, I didn't have nobody to ask no questions to. My father, I can ask him all day. He can be like, I had to deal with it. You got to deal with it too, son. It is what it is. Keep it moving. He don't have, hey, you should do this. You should do that. You should A, B, and C. You know what I'm saying? So in my specific situation, I'm just saying in general, like you said, the formulating the relationship, it came later on in the years. Because in the younger years, they see their dad. You know what I'm saying? As you should. If he's there, if he's around, if he's a stand-up guy, I might not like the way he talks to him. I might not like how many vacations he takes. That's not up to me. That's not up to me. You know what I'm saying? It's up to me to be the most stand-up guy I can be.
Right.
But what I've noticed is, like you said, once you build that relationship, that's when barriers start breaking down. You know what I'm saying? Without them relationships, it's turbulent, man.
What you said kind of reminds me of the tortoise and the hare. Because, of course, we know the story.
Mm-hmm.
The hare, I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to make it happen.
Yep.
I'm going to run back. I'm doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, the tortoise who took their time, waited it out. I'm still moving.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just moving at a, snail's pace. And it seems like once you started moving at that tortoise pace,
at my pace,
it was like, okay, all right. You started having conversations that were meaningful at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So even at 9, you had to be that tortoise at 9 because he wasn't ready yet.
He wasn't ready for it.
That's true. And 2, you are who you are, and it's respect first. So I think when he's 9 or whatever, he's a different person than when he's 15.
Yeah.
Right.
But he gonna know Derek is this guy, and this is this way. When I'm over here, my dad is this way. I discern the difference too with my stepdad and dad. When you get older, let me see what Derek got to say. I know what my dad's gonna say, but let me see what he got to say. Because when you get older, you know us, we mature, we think differently, and sometimes a little clearer, and we're more open. And now we can have that conversation with you because sometimes I was the same way. Yeah. I've had different conversations with my stepdad when I got older, and I had some with my dad, but it's like I just got someone else's perspective, and I knew who he was. Mm-hmm. So you are who you are. He's trying to figure out who he is. So that's why he's different 9 and then 15. He's developing of who he wants to be. But now it's a little bit better because now he's probably seeing a little bit more of what you were talking about. And you have something to offer from your life experiences. Like you have value in what you're telling him. Right. It might be different from his dad's, but every man's personal experience is different.
Can I add to that too?
Yeah.
Also, his vision of who you are changed.
Yeah, his perception.
Because he's looking and he's saying, hey man, I want those J's. Hey man, fly today, man.
Right.
And they may not articulate it that way, but like you said, their perception, it begins to get look and say, he telling his homies, hey, bro, my mom's husband, or whatever he call you, you know.
Yeah.
But man, he be fresh as hell, man. Like he came through, he got them gambles that just dropped. Yeah. I need to see who, and funny thing is, my son and I, we connected through shoes. We connected through shoes.
Yeah, that's where we at.
Now, craziest thing is, then my son, he, feels away sometimes, but I'd be like, that's fine. I said, because he's taking an interest in me. So he'd be like, well, Dad, what you do with this car? I gave it to Jay. I'll still look. But I'm like, hey, as he's gotten older, we are a little bit better headspace with each other.
Yeah.
Because now I'm not, you. Now I'm more so just like this. Hey man, how we doing with school? All right, well, I'm taking a break. I'm gonna go back XYZ. All right. Hey, I'm rooting for you.
You know what else I think is trust when you don't go anywhere. I've been here 5-6 years. Yeah. They start to get comfortable. Okay, he's here. He ain't going nowhere.
Yep.
I'm more comfortable opening up.
Yes.
Listening to what he has to say because he's not going nowhere. He's been riding for my mom. He's been doing everything he said he was going to do. You're building that trust just by being present and consistent. That's enough right there. Like,
he knows. He knows if anything goes down, he calls me.
He got his back.
He knows I'm coming.
Yeah.
And it's such a humbling experience to hear him talk. Because he knows I'm not gonna call D. If I gotta call D, it's gonna be a whole different situation.
Yeah.
Because he knows what's coming with me. It's an army coming.
Yeah.
I said, because when I say I love you, you get the same love that my blood gets.
Exactly.
Period. There's no differentiation between that. I love you, so I'm gonna give you that same energy and love that the oldest daughter gets. I'm gonna cuss you out, just like the oldest daughter get cussed out. So that consistency is key, and just being there because he knows. No matter what. One of the biggest compliments he gave me was, you or my mom can't can't go nowhere else. I'm not accepting another dad. And I was like, shoot. Another one was one day I was going off. My father called talking reckless. You talking to me? I'm going. I'm in that mode. He hit me with D. You remember what you told me? I was like, what? The Bible said, honor your mother and father so that your days may be longer.
He said that to you?
That's what he said to me.
Threw it right back to you.
Threw it right back at me. And I was like, man, when I say I went upstairs and put me down, so that's what I knew.
And I'm gonna say just for clarification for our audience, like this video today, like our target was not to diminish stepfathers, because we have a few in the building right now, and I believe there are instances where it works really well. More times than not, it doesn't, because it's hard. It's a lot more work as we put in with blended families. So our message when we came up with this 5, and then I'll have Derek rephrase or state that before closing, but it's aimed at, let's say, the young men who are single, who are at the beginning stages of their life. When you're looking at a mate, you can avoid a lot of those potential issues and those pitfalls that come along with being a step parent.
Right.
And the best way to avoid them is to not get a ready-made family, is to not put yourself in that position to where you feel like, I want this woman so bad, I'm willing to take this on, when you can more than likely find this particular woman. And I would say the same thing to my daughters.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want them to go be with a man with kids. But if you're in your later stages of life, middle age right now, we call ourselves, it's a lot less likely that you're going to run into people without kids.
But would you say that as far as a man stepping in a role versus a woman, since he's supposed to be the protector, provider, it's a little bit more that he's at risk since they're naturally more maturing, nurturing? I mean, you think it's the same, or you think it's more risky for a man?
I think it's the same.
You think it's the same?
The reason I think it's the same is because with women, when they take on the role of a stepmother, they also can take in those risks if, like I say, let's say if the relationship don't work, as you pointed out earlier, where you said, like your mother and father, right? Your father and your stepmother, are they still together?
No. Nope.
Do you have a relationship with your stepmother?
No.
Like, would you call her, be like, man, see how you doing?
Nope.
So it's nothing against her, right? You have no ill will towards her, right? It's just a natural thing. Mm-hmm. And for step parents, they can assume that hurt, like, man, although I'm not with your mother, or like I'm not with your father, as your mother would say, it's like, well, I took my resources, my time, I loved you as just as one of my own, but because we're not together no more, no matter who's at fault,
right,
we lose that relationship.
Right.
But you don't lose that with your actual biological, assuming they did their part. I mean, there's instances where it's not. So like I said, this video isn't aimed at step parents saying, oh, never do that. And I don't want to do that. This message is literally aimed towards young men. If you're in your beginning stages of life, you out here looking, and you found this beautiful woman, and she come like, oh, I have a kid, I have 2, and you feel like, man, this is all I can get. I'm telling you, go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Stay single, and you will find what you're looking for. God will put that woman in your life. And again, it's nothing against to that young woman. I just think having children is so serious that you have to take it. You can't downplay the seriousness of it, because we're primal. Men, we're more primal. So in the instance, there is different, like with, what do you call, you said, is there a difference? Yeah, there's a difference. Like, man, we're primal. If you look at a lion, what does a lion do when they go to a pride?
They kill
the cubs. Because they don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Naturally, men, you have a more affection and a connection with your biological children, because as Steve said, when I get old, I know my biological children will look out for me. Mm-hmm. I know that regardless if I'm with their mother, no matter what happens, because I was a great father, I know you're going to look out for me. I don't get that from my stepchildren. We have love for each other. We do, but I know that if I'm not with my wife, Joy, I know my daughter, be like, not as cool. The relationship won't be as there. And there's no ill will towards me. The connection will be that we have kids that happen to be siblings.
That's just the human,
so
humanness of it.
So when we look at this list, and I'll let him take it. Yeah, so when we talk about the list, and thank you for saying that, when we talk about the list, just to give a rundown of what the topics that we kind of touched on. Number 5 was as a stepdad, you have the responsibility as a father, but not the authority of a father. Number 4 would be the relationship fails and you've wasted your resources and time as a stepfather. Number 3 would be dealing with biological father, present or absent. That's something. Number 2 would be the BD or the father laughing at you as a stepdad. There's a space for that. And then the last one was there's no benefits to being a stepdad, which that's a touching one. Number one, there's benefits to it. You might have to make some benefits rather than just having obvious benefits because things change and you never know how things go. But I do want to say on this topic, when it comes to this, it takes a village just like anything else. So it takes a village, it takes goals, and without goals, without a system to get to your goals, it's next to impossible. So what I would say going into a relationship, if I was to ever have to bring my children around a stepmother, the conversation that I would have with the stepmother would be between her and I to see her values, for her to see my values, my rules compared to her rules. We need to hash that out before we go to the next step, which is bringing the children into it. Because we don't want to ever be in a situation where the children are dictating or trying to figure out who this man is, who this woman is in their house. So in essence, I do want to say being a stepfather is extremely hard. It is a thankless job / position. You don't get credit for the positive. You will get heckled for the negative. It is what it is when it comes to that. But for those that are out there living a stepdad, stepmother life, we all feel you. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But like we were trying to talk about today, there are ways that you can make it better. Again, create that relationship with the kids, and have that conversation with the mother or the father of the house, and make sure everybody's on the same page. So that's pretty much my wrap up on this topic. I'm gonna let everybody else, if they have anything, if they have a couple seconds to kind of wrap it up or anything they want to say, I'm gonna let them go ahead and get that out.
Real quick, I'll just say 2 things. This is good, this discussion, because we see a lot of in the media and everywhere else is portrayed that, hey, be a stepdad. But this actually give you that from real people experience from being a stepdad and having a stepdad. These discussion and this podcast need to exist because it's not always glitz and glamour how the Disney Channel cheaper by the dozen or Brady Bunch blended. It does not always happen like that. And it is what it is. And it's the difference between being a stepdad in 2024 and the 50s. This ain't the 50s no more. This is a different time and a different era. So you just have to think about it and just make a decision. Is it best for you? And, go accordingly.
Man, all the way around the table. Excellently stated opinions and viewpoints. Young men, the goal is to start your own lineage and your own bloodline. That's the goal. However, if it's God's plan for you to have to fulfill a role, just be smart about it. Just be smart about it. Remember, whether it's a young man and or a young lady, it isn't anything you have to do. You have the option. You have an option. I can't say it enough. You can start your own, but if you have to go that way, make sure, as we stated up here today, have those conversations. It's very important. But if you're going to step into that role, don't defer from you. Be you. Be supportive. Love them like they're your own. And make sure that no matter what you do, you stay true to your beliefs. However, if you feel as though it's not for you, ride with how you feel on it. That's my take on it.
Fact.
Ride
I
with how
love
you
that.
feel on it.
We're gonna let Drew get his little piece in.
All right, I'm gonna be straightforward. Don't do it. I say the only time the situations work, if you've been married, she's been married, it doesn't work out, you guys go to a new family, you meet new people. I think the situation is different. So again, this video is directed towards those young people who don't have kids already. Don't feel like you need to go jump in a ready-made family. I'll tell the story. I remember I was 16 and I was talking to this girl. She was fine. She had 2 kids. She was 20. And I remember, man, my dad chewed me out. Went off on the girl, and he literally had a conversation with me because I just thought she was everything. And it took me going to be with other women to realize that, man, I would have had a ready-made family taking care of somebody else's kids already. And gotten older, been with that. And I just think for us, we're more mature now. We're older, so we could deal with a lot of the issues that come with being a stepfather. I just think as a young man, it's easier for women to be like, oh, you could be a stepdaddy, but they don't want their sons to do it. Mm-hmm. They don't want their sons to do it. They'll be quick to have another man raise their kids and take their resources and move on. But when it comes to their sons, that's the message. What would you tell your sons to do?
Yeah.
It's not that. It's not that, hey, go take care of some other man's kids who's not doing a job or get into that broken family. Don't do that. So this podcast, we're going to have tough conversations. You may not like our opinions. We're not being disrespectful. We're stepfathers. We love our stepchildren. But we understand that it's not the same as it is with your children. Mm-hmm. So if you guys out there hear this and be like, ooh, I want to go get me a ready-made family, go ahead. By all means. Good luck.
Good luck.
And while you're doing that, make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah. Like subscribe. It say that, hey, on the tap, they did talk about this, so they did warn me. And don't be that guy. It's bad enough with your own kids.
Yes. I'm telling you, they frustrate the hell out of you.
Hit the buzzer. Yes.
It's bad enough.
Man.
It's bad enough dealing with kids that are biologically yours, let alone not yours. And to knowing you don't have that authority, I think number 5 should have been 1. You have all the responsibilities and you don't have the authority. And authority, we always equate it to discipline. It's not about discipline. It could be about, I want to have more influence on the decisions you make that's going to affect your life.
What school you go to.
What school you go to.
Yes.
The moves, all that stuff, man. If you're the stepfather, you play along with whatever mother and the father decide. Yes. Whatever they decide, you're literally open pocketbook to help to facilitate that. Mm-hmm. So if you want to do that, young man, by all means, go ahead. But hey, I love my stepdaughter, so if you watch this, it ain't nothing against you.
Yeah, all step babies, you are our babies because we've been here and we ain't went nowhere. Sure. We love y'all.
Sure.
But this is just for those young people who are fresh out there and you come into that situation, you have some options.
For sure. And I definitely want to thank y'all for tapping into the tap. You know what I'm saying? Another great episode for the fellas and I want to thank Coach D for being out here. Will had to leave. He was being a great dad. His son had some stuff and he made sure he left to take care of his son. We got we got Real Estate Steve here showing up. We got Drew here. Thank you again for tapping into the tap. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next week.
Top 10 radar, yeah, we on your radar. Never miss, dog, and that's on the radar.